Bumper to bumper, we love them old cars.
Barry, g'day and welcome to Bumper to Bumper. How you going?
Thank you. Good, thank you. Yeah.
That's good. Now we've got a Datsun 1600 here.
1600.
Now, I remember old grannies driving these kind of cars, but
Yes.
this is not an old granny's car, is it?
Not at all. I've had this one for 35 years.
35? Did you buy it brand new?
I bought it as a Group G rally car, and I rallied it, and I've off-roaded it, and I've done years and years of club level motorcarners, autocrosses, sprints, hill climbs, and then eventually moved into circuit racing.
Unbelievable. This must be like a part of your arm.
Yeah, it's part of the family for sure.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
No, I wouldn't think so. And out of all that time you've had this car, obviously it's changed its appearance over a lot of different times for different types of motorsports.
Yeah, it's evolved. Yeah, it's evolved quite a bit, particularly when it went to a circuit race car. It was lightened quite a bit, but I've retained the integrity of the car. I've tried to not chop it up too much,
Yeah.
and because it's just too much of a friend of mine to chop it up.
All right. Now, what got you? Obviously, you've been in motorsport for a long period of time. What got you into the class of 2 litres that you're doing now?
When I was looking at going circuit racing, I'm a small car person, I'm a 2-litre person. I just looked at the classes available, and this class just seemed like the right budget, the right camaraderie. It just seemed like a good fit for me, and the level of modifications we can do is a good fit for me.
Yeah.
So that's the way I went. Haven't looked back.
So what most people say is it ticks all the boxes for what you wanted to do, and obviously having the existing car that could be easily morphed into what you needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like a 1600 was a very popular car in this class. There's not so many these days because they're all 40, 50 years old now. So, but this old girl keeps going.
Now, your whole background is in motorsport to a certain extent. So let's tell us a little bit about that.
I work for Gary Rogers Motorsport. I'm in charge of sub-assembly. Been there for 16 years. So used to travel to the races and be heavily involved in that. Now I'm workshop based. But this just gets me my fix for the racing side of it.
All right. Now, this fix for a 1600, what have you actually done to this car? And tell us the tech specs about this car itself in detail, please.
Okay. It's an SR20, Nissan SR20, fuel injected.
I'll just get you to move around here so people can see your face, mate.
Fuel injected, dry sumped, forged pistons, good rods, crank, twin plate clutch, a Hollinger 6-speed sequential, H pattern, Nissan limited slip diff, independent rear end from standard, it's now adjustable, and a lot of lighting, a lot of fiberglass panels. That's the majority of the mods.
All right. Now, to get into the circuit racing you're in 2 litre, what have you done to modify this car to suit that, and then the testing and the balancing of your car to actually be competitive? Because obviously you're very competitive in this field, I hear.
Yeah, it's pretty much all different suspension from when it was a club level car. Went to bigger front brakes, standard the same size rear brakes as I was running. It's got obviously different wheels, 15 by 8s on the front, 15 by 9 on the rear these days in Simmons. But yeah, the drivetrain, the mechanically, it's completely different to what it was when it was a club level car.
All right. To be able to compete at this level and to be a championship car, I hear, how you measured the car to actually perform at its peak, to set it up for racing?
Because I've got a racing background, I get a lot of help from people at work. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of advice. Like Steve's car, this has got data logging.
Yep.
And so you'll learn, you can read your own data, learn what you're doing wrong, and as you were saying before, watching other people on the track. And if other people are taking a better line than you, a faster line than you on a corner, then you've got to work out how to make your car work on that line.
All right. Now, how'd you go for last year in the championships?
I've sat out for the last 3 actually. I've been having a
3 years.
A bit of a hiatus.
Okay.
I'm back this year for some rounds. I've just sat out for a couple of years. I think I was second outright in the last season I competed in.
Yeah. So you're going to be a bit of a threat for this year, a bit of an unknown quantity, I would say.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be stepped right back to where I was, but we'll see. Time will tell. Steve's doing a great job these days, and he's the man to beat. There's other cars that are coming along that are getting faster as they're developed, and until we all get on the track on the same day, we'll see where we fit in.
And is each race event different, and anyone can win on the day?
Yeah, pretty much. Different tracks suit different cars, or different cars work well on one track and not another.
So do you have to know the track and then set your car accordingly to that track?
Yeah, I do tune the car differently from track to track. Mainly just roll bars and some of the suspension adjustments.
All right. So for an example, what would you set the car up for Phillip Island?
It's just a balance thing. Phillip Island being very fast, you just adjust the roll bars. I don't change spring rates, just adjust the roll bars and the suspension geometry. Say Winton, where it's a lot of corners and relatively low average speed, you just do the car a little bit different. Wing angle a bit different to Phillip Island. It's flowing corners and high speed.
Now, these are subtle changes that you're putting to the car?
Yeah, just subtle changes. There's nothing big. Just diff ratio is the only major difference.
All right. And then whilst you're, do you do trials or just race events on the day, and then obviously data log that information and then interpret that for the next part of the race?
Yeah, we've only got one qualifying session on most weekends, and then straight into racing. So you use your old historical data and what you gain from the day, where the conditions can be different, particularly at Phillip Island. Wind direction makes a big difference.
Yeah, of course.
So you've just got to tune the car to the day a little bit.
All right. Now, what weight are you running in this car?
This is about 935 with me in it.
Okay, that's on the heavier side for most, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably fairly average. Our minimum race weight is 780, so most of us are a fair way over that minimum weight.
Why is that?
It's just hard to get a four-pan car down anywhere near the minimum weight. A space frame car is easier.
All right. Now, for the viewers at home, what's the difference between floor pan and space frame?
A four-pan car, you've maintained majority of a standard body shell.
Yeah.
A space frame car, you've started with a steel space frame, you weld it together, and you've used very little of the original car, if any of it at all.
All right. Now, what are these cars like in the rain? Because obviously the power to weight ratio would make it very tricky. Hang on a second, we're going to have to take a break. Barry's got his phone going.
Just fix that. The 2 litre cars quite often stand out in the wet because the big cars can't use their power.
Yeah.
So if you've got a good handling small car, you can quite often embarrass some big cars in the wet.
Now, are you racing against the big cars in the wet or not in your 2 litre class?
At most rounds we do. This first round this year we won't be, but most rounds we do race with open cars up to 6 litre.
Yeah, okay. And obviously it's great to stick it to the big guys, or the big bangers, I should say.
Yeah, there was one year there I actually led the series outright during the year. Didn't finish up on top, but I ruffled a few feathers.
You would have been very happy about that, Barry, because I can see it in your face.
I was extremely pleased. That's quite fun to embarrass the big guys, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm very sure it is. Well, look, I want to wish you all the very best for the new season coming up on board. Great to see the 2 Litre Sports Stand Club here doing a great job, and thank you for being on Bumper to Bumper.
Rusty. Thank you.
Cheers.
Beautiful. Now, who rang me?
Yeah. I was going to say something.
Bumper to bumper, we love them old cars.